Hello, hello. Welcome to Let's Get Lit. In this podcast, we will be starting a new adventure, one of epic proportions, full of action, adventure, romance, revenge, and bravery. Let's get our sunblock sandals and swords ready because we are traveling back to ancient Greece. That's right, guys. We are starting the Odyssey. Just to get started, I wanted to let everyone know that I am audiobooking this adventure. This particular audiobook I am listening to is narrated by John Lesko and was purchased off of iTunes for $8.99. This is not a sponsorship. I bought this of my own free will. This audiobook also contains the audiobook for the Iliad as well, so look forward to a future series of that adventure. And after we finish the Odyssey, I will then give a review of how I liked this audiobook. Alright, everyone ready? Let's travel back in time and start our Odyssey. In Chapter 1, we start the story off with Homer calling upon the Muses to help him recall the story of Odysseus. Also, in the first paragraph, he gives a very, very short synopsis of the story yet to come. Homer then gets us up to speed about our hero Odysseus. After the War of Troy, all of the Achaeans make it back home respectively, except Odysseus. He got held captive on an island with Calypso, daughter of Atlas. You know, the guy who's supposed to be holding the world up? Anyways, she lured him into a cave and tried to marry him and get him to forget all about his home and wife. After many, many years, the gods of Mount Olympus decide it is finally time for Odysseus to head back home to Ithaca and be with his wife. Except Poseidon. Man, does he hate Odysseus. Luckily, when Zeus called the meeting over Odysseus, Poseidon was in Ethiopia getting his eating and drinking on. Back at Olympus, Zeus starts off the meeting by telling the other gods how mortals use them to justify their actions, whether good or bad. Hello, relevance to 2019. He then goes on to tell of an example of King Agamemnon and how when he got back from the war at Troy, he was murdered by his wife's new boy toy, and that the boy toy claimed it was in honor of the gods. To be fair, though, Agamemnon did kind of start the entire battle of the Iliad, but I digress. Athena, after hearing this, tells Zeus that maybe the gods should interfere with the mortals' lives more often. She then goes on to tell of Odysseus and how he is stuck on an island with Calypso. She then tells everyone that all this poor Achaean soldier wants is to be back home with his wife and country. She reminds Zeus how Odysseus, when making offerings to the gods, is always generous with his offerings of meat and fat. Zeus reassures Athena that he does in fact remember and tells her how he loves Odysseus. We then learn, through Zeus, why Poseidon hates Odysseus so much. It's because Odysseus blinded Polyphemus, king of the Cyclopses, but also son to Poseidon. Because Odysseus does not kill Polyphemus, Poseidon will not kill Odysseus, but only torment him. Zeus believes that though Poseidon will resist helping Odysseus, he will not go against the other gods because everyone will be working together. Athena, after hearing this, decides to start devising a plan. She sends Hermes down to Calypso and tell her the gods want Odysseus to go home. In the meantime, she plans to go to Ithaca to tell Odysseus' son, Telemachus, that his father is coming home. Also, she will tell him to go to the mainland and to Sparta to get people to start talking about Odysseus again. Also, that will hopefully give his wife's suitors a hint and leave. Athena then gets ready by putting on her golden sandals, and she travels down to Ithaca to Odysseus' home. She disguises herself as Menetes, chief of the Taphians. That way, she can blend in with the other suitors. When she arrives, she sees all of the suitors lazing about in front of Odysseus' door, eating and drinking and playing music, all while the poor servants are trying to clean up after the suitors. Telemachus sees Athena, disguised as Mentes, and goes to the gate to let her in. He tells her to eat and relax, and then tell him of why she's there. Athena goes inside. Telemachus takes her things and puts them away neatly. He gets her a seat and a footrest, and then brings a chair close to her so that way he can talk to her. He then asks her if she might know anything about his father. Remember, Athena is still disguised as Mentes, so Telemachus does not know it's really Athena. They wash their hands and get ready to eat. Bread, meats, and wine then are all brought to them, and they eat and drink all that they want. Next, the suitors come in and eat and drink as well. The suitors then demand music and singing to go along with dinner. This gives Telemachus the perfect opportunity to talk to Athena in secret. Telemachus tells Athena of how he hates the suitors, also how he wishes for his father to come back and take control of the house again. It has been so long since Telemachus has seen his father that he's losing hope. Telemachus then asks Athena where she came from and how she got to Odysseus' house. His final question to Athena is if she knew of his father and if they were friends. Again, Athena is still disguised as Mentes. Telemachus does not know she's really Athena. Athena then tells Telemachus the lineage of her disguise, and also of how she arrived to Odysseus' house by boat. She then tells Telemachus that the boat she arrived in is anchored by the shore. She also tells Telemachus that she and Odysseus were great friends. Athena then goes on to explain to Telemachus that the reason she's come to see Odysseus was because she's heard he's come back home. She then says that she does not see Odysseus, but reassures Telemachus that his father is in fact still alive. She suggests that maybe his father is stuck somewhere along his journey against his will. She also tells him that everyone on the mainland is talking about Odysseus. She then goes on to compliment Telemachus over his attractive appearance and kindly ways. Telemachus says that he is in fact son to Odysseus, but that Odysseus has been gone since he was born. He then says that if he is the son of Odysseus, then he is a very lucky man. Athena tells him not to worry and reassures him once more. She then asks why there are so many suitors at his house. She also remarks about how rude and awful these suitors are acting towards each other, and towards the host. Telemachus tells Athena that since his father had gone away and no news about his return is yet to come, it's been hard to know what to do. Had his father died at Troy, he would have celebrated his father's life and made an altar to him, and at least he would have known what happened and have had a little peace of mind. However, now all of the men from around the area are at his house trying to suit his mother, and she won't make a decision because she herself does not know if her husband is alive or dead. Athena tells Telemachus that if his father were to come home, he would be able to set things right again. Athena then sets into motion the next part of her plan. She tells Telemachus that he needs to get all of the Achaeans together and to tell the suitors to go home. Also, that if his mother wants to remarry, then go back to her father and he'll take care of the matter. Athena then tells Telemachus that he needs to get a boat together with 20 men and go to Pylos and find Nestor. After that, he needs to go to Sparta and find Menelaus and talk to him, since Menelaus was the last one to get home from the Battle of Troy. If Menelaus tells Telemachus that Odysseus is dead, then they should celebrate his father's life and bury him with honor. Then see that his mother gets remarried, and that then Telemachus should murder all of the suitors that are remaining in the house. Athena then says goodbye to Telemachus and to think about what she said. Telemachus wants Athena, still disguised as Mentes, to stay longer and to take a bath and relax before leaving, but she refuses and tells him that she will be back. Telemachus offers her gifts, but she refuses, saying that when she returns, they both will have gifts to exchange. Athena then leaves, and Telemachus immediately starts plotting out his next course of action. Themis, a singer, starts to sing for the suitors, and Penelope, Odysseus' wife, comes down the stairs crying. She is very upset at Themis for singing about the lost Achaeans who never made it home. She tells him to sing another song. Telemachus tells his mom that singers do not know what they are singing about or what they're going to sing next, and that it's up to the gods to decide. Also, that it may be a sign of things to come. He tells her to go do her chores and leave them alone. She does, and she goes back to her room crying until Athena gives her sleep. After his mother leaves Telemachus tells everyone that he'll be calling a meeting tomorrow morning and that all the suitors need to leave, and if they don't, then they would be killed and no man could avenge them. One of the suitors, Antinous, gets pissed off and tells Telemachus that he needs to grow up and that he'll never be the man his father was. Telemachus tells Antinous that he will be chief, so help him, and that if not by God, then at least he'll be chief of his own house. Eurystheus tells Telemachus not to worry. No one is going to rob him or give violence to him. He then asks who the visitor from earlier was. Telemachus tells Eurystheus that it was Mentes, but by now he's figured out it really was Athena. The night goes on, and everyone decides it's time for bed. The suitors are not allowed to sleep in Odysseus' house, so they go back to where they're all staying to sleep. Telemachus, still awake, is visited by his nurse, Euryclea. Telemachus gets undressed, Euryclea folds his clothes, and he lays down but cannot sleep because of what Athena had told him. This is the basic play-by-play of Chapter 1 of the Odyssey. We now know some background of the characters, we also know of the plan that has been set up by Athena, and we know that back at Odysseus' house, his son and wife have not forgotten about him. Also, his son wants to see his dad come back and rule the house and country again. Again, this has been all for Chapter 1, but I hope you'll join me again for the next chapter in the Odyssey. And as always, stay lit, guys.